Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my pregnancy Q&A or pregnancy question and answer, whichever term you prefer. So without further ado, let's get into it. Firstly is the baby's sex. So me and my husband Matt decided not to find out whether we are expecting a boy or a girl. And I think that's quite unusual nowadays. I think it seems to be that more people want to know than maybe before. I don't know if that's correct or if it just seems that way because a lot of people have these gender reveal parties and so on. Before I was pregnant, I think Matt probably could have been swayed either way, but I've just always thought I wouldn't find out, that I would just prefer a surprise. And then when I was pregnant, Matt said himself he didn't want to find out, so at all our scans we haven't looked, so we definitely don't want to know. And I'm now 39 weeks pregnant today, so I've come a long way, and of course I can't wait to meet baby and to find out if I'm having a boy or girl, thinking about names, all that kind of stuff. But I can honestly say I'm not tempted to find out, if you see what I mean. Many people say, oh, how can you not find out? Like, how can you not know? And I honestly haven't found it that difficult. So yes, we're having a surprise, really looking forward to it. And I just think that moment when the baby's born and me and Matt, or just Matt, whatever happens, we will be able to see if our baby's a boy or girl. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to that. The next question that came up is names. Have we chosen a name? Obviously we don't know if we're having a boy or girl, so we can't decide on a name anyway. Before I was pregnant we had a list. I think I probably started it ages ago and then Matt added to it as well. We definitely found it easier to come up with girls' names rather than boys' names. Boys' names have been a bit of a struggle. However, with that being said, it does mean that now we've probably got two names, boys' names, that we know we really like, whereas girls' names we've got a lot more. So although there were less boys' names that we liked, in a way it's made it a bit easier because it's helped to narrow it down. We will just see whether it's boy or girl, and then we will kind of probably have a little look at our list and just see what suits. Someone actually asked me about my bladder, how my bladder has been. However, this person did, I think they were trying to ask if I'd had any accidents, and I haven't. This is my first baby, so potentially, hopefully my pelvic floor is stronger. I'm sure people that may have had more children, perhaps their pelvic floor may not be as strong. So as I said, I'm 39 weeks now. Maybe I should think about doing my pelvic floor exercises, but yeah, I don't know if it's not too late, is it? And also you can do them afterwards, but maybe I should try and start doing them. So the best and worst thing about pregnancy, I think the best, other than knowing you are growing a life inside of you, that you've got a baby on the way, that is just an amazing feeling. Can't really describe it, so I love that. But that, I guess most people would say that. Other than that, I love feeling the baby move. That is magical, and just how that has changed as well. So in the beginning, when it feels like little pops or popcorn or fluttering, and then now it feels quite big, strong movements, and you can see like a lump appear on my side, which is presumably a baby's foot or something. That is amazing. So I'd probably say that is the best thing, but I have also really enjoyed having a bump as well. The worst thing about being pregnant for me, I had sickness in the beginning, which was really bad, but probably even worse than that, which is easy to say now because the sickness has stopped. But the worst thing for me overall has probably been the anxiety. So feeling anxious all the time. And in the beginning it was obviously worried that something could happen. We all know how fragile. Then you get a bit nervous building up to the 12-week scan. Is that going to show everything is okay? Then I was nervous before the 20-week scan, and then I was nervous that I hadn't had any movements, and then when I started feeling movements I was then worried, oh, am I feeling them enough? Oh, have I felt movements recently? It is normal to have some worries, of course it is, because you know that you are growing this life inside of you. And it is so precious. You might have been trying for a long time, or even if you haven't, it's so precious to you when you already love the baby and you don't want anything to happen to it. So it's completely normal to have some worries, but I possibly feel like my worries were maybe a little bit more than that. It's definitely been probably the worst thing for me. And now when I look at pregnant women, I think maybe, you know, maybe they're fine, maybe they're okay, but also I've got a better understanding of how it can feel, that they might be worried as well. Another question is what I am looking forward to with not being pregnant anymore. So I've got three main things here. One is I'm looking forward to lying on my back and also on my front. Once I've had the baby and I can sleep in any position and not need to worry about it. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is not worrying, and it's another worry, you see what I mean? Worry all the time, but not worrying about what I eat. I mean, I don't eat meat, I'm vegetarian, so I didn't need to worry about raw meat and all of that. And I eat a bit of dairy, but not much cheese, so that wasn't a concern. But I still have Googled so many different things about what you are and aren't allowed to eat. The third thing that I'm looking forward to is just being able to bend down. It's so difficult, it's such a struggle to like tie my shoes, get dressed in the mornings, putting washing in the washing machine, or if I drop something on the floor, it's such an effort to pick it up, or I will just ask Matt to do it. So it will be quite a revelation when I can do that without any worries. Somebody asked me how many children we want and whether this will be just the first of many. So I think ideally we would have two. Hopefully we will be lucky enough to have a second. If you have watched my trying to conceive journey video, you will know that I was really anxious again throughout that as well, really worried, and I just think being pregnant this time is a blessing. So if we are lucky enough to conceive a second time, then I will love that. I would love to have another child, but I'm just at the moment concentrating on this pregnancy and this baby. However, people are already asking me like about having a second baby. It's funny, isn't it? Because you get engaged or you get together with someone and people ask, well, you know, is a marriage on the cards? And you get engaged, they want a date, you get married, they say, well, you're having a baby. And then you have a baby or you're pregnant and people are they're always thinking ahead, aren't they? And I know it's natural, I'm sure I've asked those questions as well. But yes, for the moment, just concentrating on this child. Someone asked how I coped with morning sickness. So my sickness started around 6 weeks, and I can't pinpoint when it ended because it was really bad and then it tailed off, but I still had it for quite a long time after. I have thought about doing a separate video about how I managed my sickness, which I may well film. As I said, I'm 39 weeks pregnant and I'm kind of running out of time to film these videos. But yeah, I'll just quickly say now, really, I think eating first thing in the morning before even getting out of bed helped, and that was mostly ginger biscuits or dry plain biscuits or crackers. Trying to avoid spicy foods or greasy foods. Eating at regular intervals. I definitely noticed the sickness would come back if my stomach was empty for too long a period, even if that was just an hour. Also, just eat what you fancy. Hopefully your sickness won't last too long, and I know we all want to eat healthily and get all the right nutrients in for you and the baby, but ultimately don't force yourself to eat things if you really don't fancy it. That's really not going to help you. But if there are things that you do fancy, then just eat that, and hopefully that will help you manage it. For people that have the really extreme sickness, then medication might be the answer, but there's definitely things that you can try before that step if you're in a position to. How did we find out we were pregnant? So we were trying, obviously, and just that month we'd been trying, we'd been on holiday, and I kept saying to myself, I was trying to be really positive and thinking, oh, you know, I'm pregnant this time, aren't I? Which was a bit silly, obviously. I'm sure positive thinking doesn't actually mean that you're pregnant or not. But I did do that, and I actually dreamt that I was pregnant as well, which was strange, but maybe it was the positive thinking. But my physical symptoms were sore and heavy breasts, and also cramping, but it was different from my period pains. So period pains come and they get stronger and they get stronger, and then my period would arrive. This time it was just on and off, so I'd get cramps and I'd think, oh, my period's coming, and then they'd stop again, and then they would start again, and that happened over a couple of days. Also, usually I would spot a few days before my period, but when I was getting these cramps, I also noticed that I wasn't getting the spotting. So I was thinking, that's weird. Usually if this is period cramping, one, the cramps would be different, but two, I would have had spotting. So I thought it might be obviously my cycle's a bit longer, but my cycles were a bit all over the place anyway. But I decided to wait a few days of those symptoms and then took a pregnancy test. Matt was there as well. I was still sat on the loo, and he looked at the pregnancy test on the windowsill in the bathroom, and he said there's a second line, like there's 2 lines. And it was amazing. Yeah, I looked and I had to look at the instructions several times just to make sure second line does mean you're pregnant, right? And yeah, so that is how we found out. Someone asked me, what do the movements feel like and how do you know it is the baby moving? So in the beginning, it definitely feels like, some people say fluttering. The very first movement, definite movement that I felt was literally like somebody was tickling me on the inside. It was really odd. It was nice, but a really strange feeling. And then after that, it was just like little pops. I know what people mean when they say it feels like wind. That's how it is. Somebody asked me, how do you know it's not wind then? I don't know, but I didn't really know if I can answer that. You just know. I guess it is just different, and eventually it does get more and more frequent and more noticeable. Someone asked, have we done a nursery? No, we haven't. We do have a bedroom which at some point the baby will be in, but we haven't bothered to decorate it or anything. I think we're just going to wait until the time comes. I know a lot of people say to do up a room in time for the baby because you'll have less time when the baby's actually here. But for us, I mean, one, we don't know if it's a boy or girl anyway. Not that that necessarily defines a room, but you know what I mean. And we don't know them, we don't know what they like. And I just think there isn't much point, to be honest. I just think the baby's going to be in our room for at least 6 months. Probably a year, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't see any rush, and we will just do it at the time. Another question is, did I have any cravings and what were they? I don't think I had any proper cravings. I never had anything that made me think, oh, I really need to eat this, I really need to have that. I did definitely have a lot of beans and spaghetti, so I definitely did fancy that more, but I don't really know if that counts as a craving. And also that was when I was still feeling quite sick, so maybe that was just the only type of food that I could eat. I did have quite a lot of food aversions though. I went off a lot of stuff. So the last question I think I'm going to answer, because I don't want this video to go on and on too long, is did we wait 12 weeks to tell people that we were pregnant? And mainly we did, but my mum knew that we were trying, as did my sister as well. So as soon as I took the test, or not as soon as, but that day, I think I was obviously I was dying to tell my mum, as you do. I'm really close to my mum. But Matt said, let's just wait and see. I think he was a bit worried as well. He just said, let's just like wait a couple of days and see how we feel. And I think both of us actually were quite worried. It's that anxious thing again. We're quite worried, as is normal. Obviously it's really early days. I probably was like 4 or 5 weeks when I found out. It's quite scary, you know, everything is very fragile at that stage. So we decided not to tell anyone just yet. We said, let's just like see how we go. We didn't necessarily think let's wait until 12 weeks, but we just thought let's just see how we feel about this. And then my mum was round our house with my stepdad, probably only about 1, maybe not even 2 weeks after finding out that I was pregnant. And Matt called me into the kitchen. He was, oh, should we just tell them? Like, do you want to tell them? And I was like, okay, yeah. So I decided to show my mum and my stepdad just photos of the positive pregnancy test. And so they found out. So I was probably only about 5, 6 weeks then. And then Matt is equally close to his parents, so he wanted them to be the next ones to know. But literally 1 or 2 days after telling my parents I was getting really bad cramping, I went to the doctor and they referred me for an early pregnancy scan. It was too soon to see anything. They could see the sac, but they couldn't see the heartbeat or anything, so they had to call me back in 2 weeks' time. So we said, right, let's not tell anyone now until we've had that scan, which was around 8 weeks. That scan was fine, so that same day we told Matt's parents. And then I also wanted to tell my sister because she also knew that we were trying, but then we went on holiday and then she went on holiday and kind of time went on. So in the end I told her, I think just before 12 weeks, but everyone else we told after we had the scan. Another one I want to quickly answer actually before I go is how long it took for us to conceive. Because a lot of people, this comes up a lot, like how long have you been off the pill and how long it took. So again, you can see my trying to conceive journey video where I go through it all in much more detail. But briefly, I came off the pill in June. We started trying in the November and I fell pregnant in April, is that right? So November, so I think it actually was the 7th cycle that we were trying that I fell pregnant. So that is the end of my pregnancy Q&A. I hope you found it useful or interesting. If you are trying to conceive, then I wish you luck, and if you are pregnant, then I wish you luck in your pregnancy as well. Thank you so much for watching as always. Don't forget to check out some of my other pregnancy related videos if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in. And if you subscribe to my channel, you can click on the notification bell and then you will know when I post new videos. But thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!